Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I feel like it's about time for me to do a new Shop My Stash or like a new makeup basket. I've been so busy. I can't begin to explain how busy my life is. It's one of two things. One, I haven't been able to film at all, which is really upsetting to me because I really enjoy it, and I'm trying to make more consistent uploads and it's just not happening. But I'm trying not to be too hard on myself. And the other thing about it is because I haven't had those consistent uploads and because I have been so incredibly busy, I have really gotten a chance to use a ton of the products that I had in this last Shop My Stash. So let's just, I guess, hop into it and discuss a few of the products that I've had in the last Shop My Stash in my everyday makeup drawer that I have here on my desk that I'm sitting at. So let's discuss some of those products, and then when I'm done with that, we can just hop into picking some new stuff out. So let's get into it. So right away, obviously for foundations, I still have my Maybelline one that's still a part of my Project Pan. That's gonna stay in there. I do not have a lot left of that. I haven't used it yet, but I just keep it in the drawer just so I remember, like, oh, if I put some fake tanner on, like self tanner, I can start to use that. But it's also getting a little bit nicer out here, so I'm trying to remember that that's part of my Project Pan, so it stays in the drawer. But the other foundation that I've been using that I put in this Shop My Stash is this one from Jasmine Beauty. It's the Life's a Beach Skin Tint. Would not consider this a skin tint. It's pretty medium coverage, if anything, but it's a really good color match for me, especially right now. I have very yellow skin and I'm very, very pale. And honestly, it's pretty difficult to find anything that's pale enough for me that has enough yellow pigment in it. Everything tends to lean more pink if it's really light, or if there's enough yellow in it, it's still too dark because it's almost pulling like orange or peach, and that I'm not that at all. So this is really, really nice. There's just enough yellow and white pigment in here that just really makes it a perfect color for me, and I have it in the shade Laguna Beach. Obviously, I still have my Kosas Revealer Concealer that is also in my Project Pan. It is my favorite concealer ever besides the Kokie concealer. The other concealer that I put in this Project Pan is from Becca. It is the Ultimate Coverage Longwear Concealer. This is just slightly too dark for me right now. Again, this honestly, it's the shade Banana if you're curious, but you can see it better like on the wand than you can in the tube. It just leans honestly a little peachy. It looks almost orange, and I think it'll look better once I get more color in my actual skin. But it's a very, very thick concealer. I normally have to wear something a little bit more full coverage, I would say, with this, just because this is so full coverage and it's so thick. But it's not drying at all. It's pretty, like, stays almost hydrating in a way, so that I think has its advantage to it. It's just they don't make it anymore, so I just wanted to get some use out of it. I did use it a few times, but it's too dark for me right now. As far as primers, I still have my Physicians Formula primer that I use pretty much consistently throughout the months. That's in my Project Pan, but I also put this one in the Shop My Stash. It's my Pixie Vitamin C Priming Oil. This stuff is phenomenal. I really enjoy this primer. It is such a thin oil, and it sits so well on the skin, but it also allows any foundation that you put on top of this oil to just look beautiful. It's like it's like magic in a jar. I don't have a better way to describe how this works with makeup. It's really, really beautiful. I mean, it's just one of those things you're gonna have to purchase it yourself and try it. It is stunning. It is one of my favorite primers of all time, and I have a huge dent in it now. I already had a pretty good dent in it, but now I've really gotten it down there. I normally use pretty moisturizing and hydrating skincare products, so I don't necessarily need to use this all the time. I've really just been focusing on that Project Japan primer that I have right now. So even though that I did use this pretty often, it wasn't like an everyday thing, but it was nice to get some really, really good use out of it still. Still have my KVD powder. It's part of my Project Japan. Not gonna talk about that much anymore. I also just threw in my ABH eye primer. It's just a deluxe size. I'm honestly just trying to get through this and use it up. It's not my favorite. I wouldn't recommend using this. I mean, I get the reason behind this one, but there's just so many better eye primers out there that I wouldn't recommend this over others. So it's not the best. I wanted to add my Danessa Myricks Power Bronzer. I have this one in the shade Light. This is one of my favorite cream bronzers of all time. I absolutely adore it. It's also a really, really nice color. And I've used it so much that I actually hit pan on it, which I'm not surprised by. This is a lot of product. It doesn't seem like it. It says it's 0.49 ounces, which, thinking about it now, that's actually a lot of product. That's half of the amount that you would get from a foundation. I've used a ton of this. I think I use this almost every single day that I put makeup on. I really love this. It's a lot more affordable than other bronzers on Sephora's website too. So I highly recommend checking this out. They have 3 color options. I had the lightest one, shade Light. I love it. It's so good. There's a reason why I've hit pan on this. I really, really recommend this one. Still going strong on my Lord & Berry Kajal stick. I just use it with like a liner brush, and then I do winged liner with it. Really, really like it. Works just like a cream gel liner. I also wanted to add my Half Caked Makeup No Chill Luster highlight sticks, my stick lighters. This one is the shade Champagne Showers that I chose. Honestly, just one of my favorite cream highlighters. It's very, very similar to the Marc Jacobs cream highlight stick that they had at one point in time. They obviously don't really make it anymore, but this is a pretty like spot on dupe if you're looking for something similar to it. Another, and I'm trying not to blind anybody with it, but this is my NARS blush palette. It's the Unfiltered 2 Cheek palette. I have just been kind of trying to hit some more pan and a couple more shades. The only shade in this palette I really don't use is this one right here. It's just a little too dark for my skin tone. I much prefer all the other options. They're more light for my skin tone. To be honest, in the beginning I was reaching for this a ton, but I've really just been reaching for cream products mostly, and one of those cream products I put in this Shop My Stash. It's from Fenty Beauty. It's the cream blush, and I have it in the shade Fenty Glow, a really pretty brown tone. What's more to say about it? It's a really pretty color to use on its own if you don't want to have like a blush and a bronzer. This is like the 2-in-1 type of product. It's the perfect like blush bronzer combination. I know I put quite a few like Kylie Cosmetics liquid lipsticks, and then I put this Half Cake Makeup Super Glazed lip cream in there. I think I used both of these at least once. I know I used this once. I've come to realize a lot of these are really, really drying out. I know I used this once and it's pretty patchy now, and it just peels. Like the second it dries, it just peels off of my lips. This is the shade Blitzen. It does not smell bad, but I think I need to retire this one. I think I need to throw it out. It's not wearable anymore just because it peels off so much. It kind of feels gross when it happens too. This is from her 2016 holiday collection, so obviously it is very, very old. I need to just get rid of it. So I've used it a couple more times. Each time I used it, the formula hasn't gotten any better with use, so I think I'm okay with just getting rid of this. Not to mention, like, these colors they're not the same, but they're close enough that I'd be okay with, you know, just having this to have it, you know, in the same color family. So yeah, unfortunately, Blitzen from Kylie Cosmetics needs to go. I'm getting rid of it. It's old, unfortunately. The other two colors I have here are Posy K and Exposed. Exposed I use all the time. I can tell I'm getting so close to finishing this. And then I have Posy K, which if I use this, I used it once. I didn't really get a chance to use it anymore. I know this is still good because I've used it recently, like in the beginning of this year, and the formula is fine. So I am gonna keep this, both of these for now, Exposed and Posy K, but that Blitzen shade really just has to go. It's so bad, so bad. I think I mentioned in the Shop My Stash that I was adding these lip glosses. This one is from Alley Oop. It's just one of the lip glosses in the trio that they had, so I was just adding like a nude lip gloss just to have it. I honestly just kept it in my purse most days. And lastly are eyeshadow palettes. So let's just talk about each one of these. So this is my Makeup Revolution Ultimate Nudes palette. I have this one in the shade Light. I think they have a medium and a deep or a dark. They're supposed to be dupes for the Ultimate Nude palettes from Huda Beauty. I've really been enjoying using these. I love the shimmer colors in here, so that's really what makes me gravitate on using this eyeshadow palette. Really enjoy it. It's really affordable. Used this Tarte palette a couple times. Again, this is pretty much a shimmer only eyeshadow palette, and I do love it, especially when I'm just trying to look for a neutral, everyday wearable shimmer. This palette gives me all the options I could ask for, so I do still enjoy it. I don't reach for it every day and I tend to forget about it, so it was kind of nice having it in this drawer, and then it's staring at me every time that I actually try and look for it. Also brought in the Yes Please palette from ColourPop, and I actually used this a ton. I've used some colors singularly and mixed them with other eyeshadow palettes, but I've also just used this palette and this palette alone in a few looks. Really happy I was able to use this because it really does get forgotten in my collection. I have such a large collection now that this is one of my older palettes and I just don't reach for it anymore. It's really hard for me to reach for like pure red and yellow palettes because it just looks like ketchup and mustard on me, and I really hate that. Like primary red and primary yellow together in a look just looks, I don't know, I just hate it. But I did really like using this, and I found some good ways just to make things not look so clashy, and yeah, really enjoyed having it again. This palette right here, this is my palette that I created from the number generator. Obviously it stayed pretty cool toned, surprisingly, minus this, but this is a pretty cool toned pink in my opinion. It's almost like purpley pink. There was another shade up here. I can't quite remember what exactly it was, but I ended up decluttering it because it just sucks. And I never put one back in its place. But yeah, this is pretty much what's left from that palette. I only got rid of that one shade. I don't even remember what it was. was that bad. So this is what's left. Yeah, I got a lot of use out of this, especially the cooler tone colors over here, like the blue and the green, use a ton. Really like having these number generator palettes that I have for each new Shop My Stash. So I'm definitely going to keep doing this. I'm going to create a new one. I'm excited to see what colors get added this time around. All right, and the last two palettes that I added to the Shop My Stash were these Morphe palettes. I have the Morphe 35M and the Morphe 35V. These palettes suck. They're really bad. These are not good palettes. I don't remember them being this bad, but they're not that good. I actually tried using these quite a bit and the mattes are just patchy. They don't blend as well as I remember, or maybe they just never blended well. Also, the shimmers don't stay looking shimmery on your lids. It's almost like they just kind of fall off your eyelids, especially if you don't use like a tacky base. You're never gonna have shimmery eyelids. So that kind of sucks because this color story is actually super cute, but it's really bad. This one is the 35M, and I'm gonna get rid of this palette. It's really not that good. Some of the colors are really beautiful. Like I really genuinely do like all of these greens. The green shimmers are okay. The green mattes are okay. They're still kind of a pain in the butt to use, but I'm gonna get rid of them. I have way better options in my collection, and if I'm missing any of these colors, I'll just go buy something new. There's no point in me keeping a hold of them. And same with this one. This is the 35V palette. These just suck. Is that really mean for me to say? They're not good. I thought when I first bought these that they were actually pretty decent, and I don't know if my standards were just so low or if they actually were good and they've just gotten so old now that they just suck. But the shimmers are terrible. Like they just don't stay shimmery on the lid. They don't. Yeah, I don't not really have much else to say about them, but I'm getting rid of this palette too. It just doesn't do it for me. I don't know. It's kind of frustrating because I was really excited to get these palettes when they first released, and they just don't cut it for me anymore. So I'm decluttering both of these. So that is everything from this Shop My Stash, this past Shop My Stash. So let's hop into some new products. And I think, unfortunately, like with the eyeshadow palettes, I can't show you an overhead view of them because there's no way with the way that I have my makeup set up now that I can do that. But I think I'm just gonna pick a few off camera and then I'll just show them on camera for you guys. So I'll be back after I do that. We're back trying to figure out what foundations, sprays, concealers, and primers to choose. And I think I kind of already know what I want from each, I guess, situation here. So for foundation, since I don't have any foundations right now that match me in my drawer, I want to go with my Too Faced Peach Perfect foundation, and I have it in the shade Almond. I also want to grab my Sawasu Cushion foundation. I have this one in the shade number 23. And that's just what like the inside looks like. But I really like this foundation. It's really nice. It's a really good match for me as well, especially right now. As far as sprays, I have my Kat Von D or my KBD Beauty spray that I'm really trying to use and I'm trying to finish up. But I do think I'm gonna just add another spray just because it needs to be used. It's from Ebates, a glow face mist. This is a very dewy face mist, and it's just a little like deluxe size. So I'm gonna try and use this a few times at least during this shop my stash. So yeah, I'm gonna add that. And that actually leads me into talking about the primer I want to add. This is the Ebates A Glow Priming Oil, and I feel like this is pretty similar to the Pixi Vitamin C Priming Oil. They pretty much act the same. It's just this one is starting to get a little old, and I just want to get some good use out of this. As far as concealers go, I have surprisingly been noticing that I'm getting quite a bit of like dark under eye circles. So I'm actually gonna pop in my Bobbi Brown Skin Corrector Stick. I just got this recently and it does work pretty well. I just haven't used it quite often because I don't normally have to use a color corrector, but I've just noticed I've been needing to use it a little bit more often than not. So it's gonna just be nice to have it just to reach for it. But as far as using like a legitimate concealer, I think I'm gonna reach for one of these Makeup Revolution ones. I'm gonna go for this lighter one. I have it in the shade 1.75. This is the Conceal and Define Infinite Longwear Concealer Crease Proof. Yeah, it's a big name, but it's just a big chubby concealer. Actually has pretty good full coverage, so I think I'm gonna add this, and the color is pretty nice too. It's a good match for me. So I think that's gonna be everything for this section. So let's move on to all my face, the rest of my face products. Okay, so everything in this drawer is my highlights, blushes, and bronzers. And I don't really know what I want to choose. I know what bronzer I want, and since I already have a powder bronzer in my project pan, I'm just gonna choose a cream bronzer. But I was really enjoying using this the last time that I actually did use it, and this is the ABH cream bronzer in the shade Sunkissed. Don't sleep on this bronzer, you guys. It is actually so good. It's a really blendable formula, really easy to use, and they have quite a nice shade range. This one's a little bit warmer and a little bit more yellow toned, which I personally enjoy for my skin tone. But yeah, I'm gonna add this. As far as blushes, I really don't know what I want to choose. Oh, this is so hard. I think I really love just a good like spring, like pinky tone. I'm gonna add this Valentino blush. This is one of my favorite colors, just like a pure like baby pink shade. And this formula is actually really, really nice. So I'm gonna add this color. I also wanna add a powder blush. So I think I'm gonna add this one from Half Caked. I don't know which one it is. This one. This is the shade Me and You, and it's just a really, really light toned peachy nude shade. It's called Me and You. So I'm gonna add that. I think I want to add one more. I just don't know which one it's gonna be. Warmer tones. I don't know. I might choose Patrick Ta, just so I have like a neutral color, like a more browny warm tone. Since I have such a baby pink shade, I think this would be a good option to have. It's a duo. Do I want anything else though? No, I don't think I do, because I already have a cream blush from Natasha Denona in my project pan, and I also have another powder blush. So I think adding those 3 blushes will be just fine. And then for highlighters, Oh, I did want to add one more blush. I don't know why. Why am I doing this to myself? I don't know. But this, I actually just started using this again. It's the Cheek Slime from Freck Beauty. I have this in the shade Cuffed. And I had it on in like the beginning or intro and outro of this video. And I just found such a good way to use this without it drying so fast and looking like patchy on me. So I've really just been enjoying this color. I also am gonna add this just because I've really been liking it. For highlighters, I don't know what I want to choose. I think I want to go with this little Becca highlight. It's just a powder bronzer, but it's the shade Vanilla Quartz. I'm gonna add this, and I don't know if I want to add anything else other than this, if I'm being totally honest. So I think this might just be the only highlighter that I add. So yeah. Okay, so this bin just has all of my like liquid lipsticks and my lip glosses in it. I don't really know what I want to choose, if I'm gonna be honest. I think maybe I'll kind of keep a specific vibe. I'm gonna pull this one out. It's shaken up. This is from Fenty Beauty. It is the shade Unbutton. It's just her liquid lipstick. So yeah, I'm gonna add this one. I'm also going to add this one from Patrick Ta, just because it's a good neutral color. It's called She's Independent, and it's their Monochrome Moment Silky Lip Cream. So I'm gonna add that as well. I also wanna go for some bright, fun colors. So I think I'm gonna do a purple. I'm gonna reach for this one. This one is the shade Suspiria from KVD Beauty. I'm gonna add that in it, and I feel like I wanna add one more color. So let me look real quick. So I actually decided to go with something totally different. This is one of my Soft Touch Lime Crime tubed lipsticks, and this is the shade Fuchsia Flare. I figured this one was pretty out there in color, but I love wearing really vibrant lipstick shades, especially in the springtime. So this just looks like a good spring color. So I'm gonna add that one. As far as lip glosses go, I don't have anything really out there in like lipstick colors, just because I don't normally keep crazy lipstick colors around. I'm not a crazy lipstick color wearer. I don't have anything super out there. I might just add this super nude lip gloss just so I can get some more use out of it. It's from Bite Beauty. It's their French press lip glosses. This one is in the shade Flat White. It's getting pretty old, and to be honest, I don't reach for ultra nude, like white nude shades like this anymore for my lips. This is just a little too pink and a little too gray. But I think it can be a good like everyday shade, especially if I'm just going really light with my makeup. So yeah, I'm gonna add this one. So next up, let's dig out some eyeshadow palettes, and then I can talk about those. So let's go over to those. Okay, so I think I figured out what eyeshadow palettes I want to use. So I have my number generated palette, so I'll show you that to you guys in a moment, but I want to talk about the other palettes that I chose. And the first one is the Rowan quad that I own. The quad is the 75 degree quad. It's the more warm toned, like bronzy color quad, and the reason I chose this is just I know I wanted something very neutral, very easy to use, that's quick and out the door, especially when I'm really busy or I make last minute plans and I just want to look a little bit more put together than like, you know, what I have on right now, which actually takes a while. So I just figured this would be like a nice, easy palette to reach for. It's kind of like, you know, you only have 4 color options with it, so it's like pick one of them and then you're good to go. So yeah, I chose that one, but I also chose the Carly Bybel palette that she did with Anastasia Beverly Hills. Again, there are some good neutral tones in this palette, but there's some good colors too. And a lot of people hate this palette, but I really like this palette. I like the mattes in here, and I think the shimmers are beautiful. They perform well for me, and I like the variety that it offers you. So yeah, it's kind of why I chose this, and I just haven't used it in a very, very long time. And I thought a good companion palette for this one would be the Celestial Thunder palette from Glamnetic Cosmetics. Again, I have not used this palette in such a long time, but there's some really good color options in here that I just think can pair really, really well with the palette from Carly Bibo. So if I hold them both up, this one obviously looks a little bit more vibrant, but I feel like together they just can create something pretty. I don't know, they can create some really pretty colorful looks, but also some really good grounded neutral looks as well. So I just thought they'd look good with each other. This looks like the more colorful version of this, like the more punchy edited version of this. So yeah, I just feel like they could play really, really well with each other. So I decided to give myself a challenge with that. So these are the three that I chose. I'm going to see how well I can do with that. And now I'm gonna show you guys this guy. You guys are gonna think that I chose this number generator palette myself. I promise you, I specifically kept everything in the same order, and the number generator just picked this palette, but it literally looks like a palette you could buy. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's weird. It is truly kind of crazy what it picked out. So I picked out 9 shades, and I always keep like a matte cream, like white cream color, because that's what I use just kind of to set my lid down. And I just have so many of them that I just always keep one in this palette. But this is the color story that it chose. Who would have thought that this would be the palette that it creates? So yeah, this is it, you guys. This is my number generator palette, and honestly, I think it's gonna look really, really good with the rest of the palettes, especially this Celestial Thunder one, which is, it kind of stinks because this palette already has like a bright pink in it. This Lucid Dream shade in the top corner. But, you know, I think this palette can pair really, really well with the ones that I chose. And I picked these palettes before I even did the number generator for this, because I didn't want to be too like matchy-matchy. I wanted to try and be as creative and difficult as possible with what I chose and what the number generator chose for me. So yeah, this is the palette that the number generator chose. So all of these shades, so obviously my square one is an Adept Cosmetics shade. This Baby Lilac, I'm pretty sure this is a Kylie Cosmetics shade. Yeah, this is from the purple palette from Kylie Cosmetics, and I think this one is as well. Yeah, these two purple shades are from the Kylie palette. This is a ColourPop single shadow. So is this, I believe. I think this is the shade Firefly. This medium pan, this is from the Ace Beauté palette that I had. This is a Laura Lee Los Angeles color. This pink one is also a ColourPop shade, but these two bigger pans right here, these are Juvia's Place eyeshadows, so it's kind of unique. I don't know. I think this is a good color story. There's some cooler tones, some warm tones, got a couple like neutrals over here. I think I can come up with something pretty cool with these. So I'm really excited to try and like dive into this palette and use it. So yeah, I'm excited. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching me shop my stash this time around. I'm really excited for these new products, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.